Have you ever felt deeply inspired by your spiritual growth, only to later discover that the very pride in that growth became an obstacle? Have you ever thought, I'm becoming more enlightened, only to find yourself judging others for not being there yet? It's a paradox few talk about. Some of the most beautiful experiences, feelings, and ideas on the spiritual path are also the most deceptive, not because they're bad, but because they're incomplete. It feels so right, so elevated, so filled with light that we forget to check, is this experience expanding my ego or dissolving it? Today, we're going to reveal the hidden traps that often disguise themselves as milestones. These are the subtle dangers that delay true awakening, and not through darkness, but through excessive light. Because sometimes, it's not your shadows that slow your progress, but your attachments to the light. Let's begin with one of the most common and misunderstood traps: spiritual pride. The moment you start feeling like you're more awakened than others, you've fallen into a subtle form of superiority. It might feel like clarity. It might even come wrapped in compassion. But underneath, there's comparison. You may look at others who are reactive, unconscious, lost in materialism, and think, they just don't get it. But that very thought is the ego wearing spiritual robes. Real growth is humble. It knows that awareness doesn't make you better. It makes you more responsible, more gentle, more solid. The true sign of awakening is not how much you know, but how little you need to prove. Let's explore another trap: attachment to spiritual experiences. You might have had a moment of deep peace and meditation, profound insight, feeling of connection with the universe, and it felt divine. But then, you began chasing that feeling. You started measuring your practice by whether that state returned. You began thinking, if I'm not feeling that light again, something is wrong. This is one of the most subtle forms of bondage in chasing experiences instead of embodying awareness. The awakened masters remind us, experiences come and go. Feelings rise and fall. A presence is eternal. Your goal is not to repeat the peak. Your goal is to remain rooted when the peaks fade. And the moment you stop chasing, the stillness returns, and not as an event, but as your essence. Let's explore a third trap: spiritual bypassing. This happens when we use spiritual concepts to avoid dealing with uncomfortable emotions. You feel grief, but you tell yourself, it's all illusion. You feel anger, but you say, I'm beyond that now. This is not awakening. This is avoidance dressed as wisdom. True growth doesn't skip the pain, it includes it. It holds the sadness with compassion. It meets the anger with honesty. It faces the fear with presence. Avoiding your emotions in the name of spirituality is not painting over a wound without cleaning it. It might look healed, but underneath, infection grows. The path of awakening is not clean or pretty. It's messy, raw, and deeply human. And the more you embrace that, the more grace flows in. Another dangerous trap: mistaking detachment for indifference. Somewhere along the path, you may learn about non-attachment, and in trying to practice it, you begin pulling away from everything: relationships, desires, responsibilities. You think, if I want nothing, I suffer nothing. But what you're actually doing is numbing yourself, not liberating yourself. True detachment is not coldness, it's spaciousness. It's the ability to love fully without clinging, to care deeply without control, to engage without entanglement. Attachment says, I'm here, Mullen, and if it changes, I'll bless it and let go. That's power. That's presence. Let's also not forget the trap of constant seeking. This is the one where you're always reading the next book, attending the next retreat, watching the next video. You feel like you're growing, but in truth, you're just consuming. This trap is seductive because it feels like progress, but it's actually distraction. The deepest truths are not found in more knowledge, but in applying what you already knew. Every teaching is a mirror. Every scripture is an invitation. But until you stop seeking and start embodying, your transformation remains theoretical. So what's the antidote to all these traps? Onward, integration. Integration means taking the insights from your practice and living them in your daily life. It means turning compassion into how you speak to your children, turning mindfulness into how you wash the dishes, turning wisdom into how you treat those who disagree with you. Integration is what turns moments into momentum. It's what turns seekers into sages. And it begins by asking hard questions. I judging more or loving more? I proving or practicing? I chasing feelings or anchoring presence? I avoiding my pain or alchemizing it? I seeking endlessly or embodying what I've already received? These questions don't lead to instant enlightenment, but they do lead to honesty, and honesty is the soul from which awakening grows. Let's now hear a story that brings this to life. Shin was a successful yoga teacher. He had thousands of followers, a booming studio, and was invited to speak at spiritual conferences. He felt proud of his journey from addiction and depression to peace and purpose. But one day, a new student asked him a question he couldn't answer, not because he didn't know, but because he realized he had stopped learning. He had become a performer, not a practitioner. That question haunted him. He began watching his own behavior, noticing the moments he pretended. At times he used spiritual language to mask discomfort. The subtle ways he demanded admiration. And he realized he had become trapped in the image of his own awakening. So he paused, like a sabbatical, sat with his pain, listened to his silence. Months later, he returned, and not with better answers, but with deeper questions. Not with more confidence, but with more humility. Today, his teachings are simpler, softer, more honest. He says less, listens more, and his students say, "You feel more real now." That's awakening. Up lightning bolts or floating above the ground. At being real, being kind, being empty of pretense. Being used without needing to be anything else. Let's now go even deeper into the quiet territory few dare to enter, the spiritual traps hidden within identity itself. One of the most dangerous illusions on the path is the creation of its spiritual self, a version of you who meditates daily, speaks softly, wears beads, reads sacred texts, and perhaps even teaches others. At first glance, this looks like progress, and in the beginning, it represents your genuine longing for awakening. But slowly, without noticing, you begin identifying with this awakened version of yourself. You protect it. You perform it. You defend it. And in doing so, you stop growing. Because now there is something to maintain: an image, an idea, or reputation. And where there is something to maintain, there is fear. Fear of being exposed, fear of being wrong, fear of being human. This subtle fear strangles real growth. Because real growth requires vulnerability. It asks you to say, "I don't know." It invites you to admit, "I'm still learning." It calls you to whisper, "I'm struggling too." And that's hard to do when your ego is wearing robes of light. This is why some of the most sincere seekers plateau, not because they've stopped practicing, but because their identity has become the practice. They are no longer discovering, they are defending. They are no longer surrendering, they are strategizing. They are no longer dissolving, they are decorating the self. This is not a failure, it's a phase, but it becomes dangerous if you stay there too long. So how do you move beyond this phase? And making peace with your imperfection. And being more committed to truth than to appearance. And valuing presence over performance. One of the most powerful practices you can undertake is to regularly deconstruct your identity. Ask yourself, who would I be without my beliefs, without my practices, without my story? What if I dropped my spiritual vocabulary for a week? Could I still be kind? Could I still be aware? Can I still be compassionate? The answer is yes, then your spirituality is real. If the answer is no, then you've become attached to the form, not the essence. Let's address another dangerous trap, the avoidance of worldly responsibility in the name of spiritual purity. It's tempting, especially when you start waking up, to want to withdraw from the world. A news feels toxic, impulsively, the systems are corrupt. You think, why engage? I just protect my peace. But peace that must be protected is not peace. It's preference. True peace can walk into chaos and still radiate calm. True compassion doesn't retreat, it reaches. The great sages didn't hide from the world. They entered it, they served it, they brought their stillness into the storm. To awaken is not to escape, it is to return to your family, your community, your responsibilities with a heart that is deeper, a mind that is quieter, and a presence that uplifts without preaching. The trap of escapism often disguises itself as detachment. But remember this, detachment is not disconnection, it's engagement without entanglement. It's caring deeply, without collapsing. It's serving fully, without seeking reward. It's showing up, not because the world is perfect, but because you are being refined by it. Let's bring in another real-life story. Mar was a young monk who left his home at 18 to live in a monastery in the mountains. He meditated for years. He learned scriptures. He reached deep states of silence, but something felt missing. One day, his teacher asked him, "Why are you here?" He said, "To awaken." The teacher asked, "Then why are you hiding?" That question shattered his worldview. He realized that his desire to escape suffering had turned into avoidance of life itself. So he left the monastery, not because he rejected its teachings, but because he wanted to apply them. He became a school teacher in a rural village. He taught math, but more importantly, he taught presence. He listened to troubled children. He mediated family disputes. He planted trees. He lived simply. And in that messiness, in the cries and chaos and ordinariness, he found something he never found in the mountain's wholeness. He wrote years later, "I thought awakening was escape. But it is full engagement with the sacredness of life, a messy, broken, holy life. That is the path. Not detachment from humanity, but deeper participation with it. Not floating above the world, but walking through it barefoot, heart open, as clear." Let's return to you. Where might you be clinging to your spiritual identity? Where might you be hiding behind non-attachment instead of feeling fully? Where might you be consuming teachings without integrating them? Where might you be isolating instead of serving? These are not questions to shame you. They are mirrors, invitations. Each one a doorway to deeper sincerity. And that sincerity is what the path is truly made of. Not charisma, not language, not spiritual fashion. But the raw, tender, fierce willingness to look at your own heart over and over and ask, "Where am I still asleep?" Because awakening is not a destination. It is a thousand small deaths. A death of arrogance. A death of avoidance. A death of pretending. A death of needing to be seen as spiritual. And in those deaths, something real is born. Not a better version of you, but a truer one. One that doesn't need applause. One that doesn't need a label. One that is so empty of image that it is full of light. This is the paradox of the path. The further you go, the less you need to go anywhere. The more you learn, the less you need to say. The more awakened you become, the more ordinary you feel. Because awakening is not about becoming special. It's about becoming real. And realness is the final liberation. If this message resonates with you, take a moment to reflect. What traps have you noticed on your journey? What illusions have you lovingly outgrown? What practices help you stay rooted in truth? Share your reflections in the comments. Let us grow through each other's honesty. And if you feel called, subscribe, like, and become part of our community of humble seekers. Together, let's walk not toward enlightenment, but into presence, into simplicity, into truth. Because the light we seek is not far away. It's hiding behind our own masks, waiting to shine.